Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk About It with Courtney. I'm your host, Courtney Carroll. I am your licensed therapist in Washington and North Carolina State. I'm excited to be here. You may also know me as Coach Courtney. I've launched a coaching business on top of my therapist business. That sounds so silly. My therapeutic practice, that sounds a little bit more proper. This is probably somewhere in the middle. But anyway, welcome. I am actually filming the day of release, and I'm going to trust my intuition, my gut feeling, and I'm so glad I waited because today I'd like to talk about having a relationship with yourself. And I think it's like a blanket statement. And what does that even mean? I saw on some type of reel this morning, it's like, if only in school we were taught or asked to write a paper or be asked like how you feel about yourself. Or what do you know about yourself? And then it kind of like tightened up with a relationship. Out of anything I think I do, it's relationship work, whether that's with yourself or with another individual or whatever that you're attached to. So what does it mean to have a relationship with yourself? What does it mean to know yourself? Life is always evolving and like circumstances change all the time. And sometimes we play different roles in our life, whether that is perpetrator, victim, whatever happens. And if you've been following along my journey, you know I've had some pretty crappy situations happen to me. And having a drug addict mom, just like the different dynamics of my childhood and teenage years and my first marriage and how it ended in fidelity. I think I wanted to just start clean. I wanted just to have to be a person in my position to sit here and record a podcast that launches on YouTube, and to even be a therapist coach in my chair when I work with clients. I want to show up as authentic and as honest as I can. And I think that's why the first few episodes are so freaking personal. Not every therapist or coach is going to tell you how they got divorced, why they got divorced. Not everyone's going to tell you about losing a mom to drugs in early life and then actually lose her in death later. And it's not that I wanted to become a victim. And by the way, I've felt the victim. I've sat in those roles, and to be honest, I've sat with them recently. And I just sometimes get in that space. I don't know how people can do things to people. Especially, I consider myself a good person. I have good intentions. I really believe I'm genuine. And I think a lot of us are. Majority of us are, actually, if I'm being honest. And why do things happen? Or why would my ex cheat on me? Why would he make different plans with his life and not consider his daughter? Or why would my ex-fiance, who battled addiction, hide things from me and have issues with that? And then we're in the midst of figuring out selling our home that we bought together. And what do I do with all this information? Because at first instinct, it was like, how do I constantly get screwed over? Like, how? I loved my ex-husband. Oh my God, I loved him. And somehow that happened. I forgave him, and then it would happen again. And then last year, or a little over a year and a half ago, I fell in love with someone I grew up with. And we got engaged, we bought a house. God, we were so excited to start our lives together. We've known each other since we were 11. And then as we bought the house and things closed in, I'm learning that he kept a lot from me. Struggles with alcohol, things that were hidden with his last marriage. And I wasn't fully aware, maybe I had details. And then me realizing he has a really negative relationship with alcohol, like not communicating. And then when I say negative coping skill, use that with how you feel. I'm going to rewind back and like just explain that. Is having a negative relationship to a substance, whatever that is, to have it numb so you don't have to like feel what you're going through. I had details or like experiences, and I didn't trust my instincts. I didn't like look into it. I gave chances, and think where I'm going today is, where does that fall? Who's the common denominator? And that is not to make me feel like I did not deserve a lot of the things I've gone through. I will be very transparent about that. But there's some type of ownership of who I am today. I made choices. I moved across the country. I fell in love. I think I did the best with what I had in the information. I saw yellow flags, and that should, like, yellow should have been red. And I think they will be going forward for me. And I just ignored some of my thoughts, and I just was like, but I love him. And, you know, like, we had this, like, such a romantic story, and maybe one day I'll share more about it. I'm sure I will later down the road. It was, like, so pure and so good and, gosh, meaningful. And then, of course, with my ex-husband, like, never do I deserve cheating, but I also forgave it time and time again. I think he had some, like, way of, like, I get why he thought he could keep getting away with it, because I would forgive, you know. I probably blindsided him by not forgiving him. So today I sat with you, and I'm like, and I'm now, like, I made my decisions. I'm going to own them. I made these, even though I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying woe is me, or, like, I'm not mad at myself anymore. I was mad at myself for a long time about, like, how did I do this, or how could he do this? Like, am I so stupid? No, I'm a human. And I love so much. I have a lot of love in my heart, and I would ignore my gut intuitive feelings to believe or to want whatever idea I had at the time, whether that was love, to stay in a marriage with infidelity, to still move across the country, even though we had a fight and we had some tough talks before, even though I warned him, like, hey, if I don't see a change in this, I will break up with you. And I remember even looking at him across the hall, like, not hall, we were sitting across the couch. And I remember explaining to her, it was a him. I'm doing my best not to say people's names out of respect for their autonomy. But I remember looking at him, this guy I just loved, obsessed with. I adored him. And I said, what you need to know is, if I can leave my daughter's dad, I will be able to leave you. The hardest thing I could do in my life, and still at this point, was leave a marriage and break, I say that loosely, break my nuclear family of me and my ex-husband and my daughter. If I can do that, I will break up with you. I will end things, because that's how important my daughter is. My daughter is my world. And I promised to protect her. And I meant it. I had told my ex-husband, if you've been on this journey, like, I can't keep forgiving you. We have a daughter. What if I keep forgiving you and I stay in this relationship where you cheat and you lie and you betray me? What am I teaching my daughter? Our daughter. Like, having a girl, that was like, I think I just knew. And I'd warned him, if you listen to that episode, you know, I said, I'm like, you do this again with Hazel, our daughter, like, I can't forgive you. I won't do it again. I won't do it more than once for Hazel. I did it once, I'm not going to do it again. And fast forward to a couple years later, I'm with my fiance, who I adore, in the house we just bought. And I'm sitting across from him, is saying, hey, you need to work on these things. You need to work on some positive coping skills. I hope you want to go to therapy and work it out, because he was starting to see a therapist and everything. And I won't be able to do this with my daughter. And I remember him saying something about, like, you say that so easily, like it was about him. I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with you. I love you. I would be devastated if this ended. And I was so heartbroken. I was so sad. I did not move across the country following the love of my thought at the time life, and uproot everything, change all my dynamics, my life, like, drain savings to move across the world to start this life, to break up with that person. It was actually, like, what I struggled with the most was, how cruel it felt to me that all happened. And at the end of the day, I have to own that. I made those choices. I had forgiven my ex-husband, and maybe he just thought he could keep getting away with it. I lowered my standards in that marriage to keep it. I had moved across the country with all the information I had, even though I had some indicators of some negative coping skills, because I loved him. I trusted him. I got here, very quickly found out this isn't changing. This is something that won't change, at least with my perspective. And I knew I wasn't going to go through anything more. So I broke up with my fiance. He moved out, and we're still figuring things out with our house. And I'm most likely going to be moving again, and all the things. So when all that happens, going back in between wanting to feel like a victim because like things were hidden from me, not communicated with me effectively or openly, and then cheated and lied to and betrayed. How do I leave that victimhood? But also on the other side over here, how do I not be brutal to myself? How do I not just like tear myself apart? Because I did. Literally, and almost immediately I got back into therapy. I have a great new therapist. I've been seeing her for months, but I knew I had to go get work on this. I communicated with my family about what happened. I let my ex-husband know I ended the relationship, and that I would figure out what's next for my daughter and I, of course, keep him alert. That's my job as a fellow co-parent. But I was mean to myself. I just was like, and I was mad at my exes. I was mad at like, how am I here again? How am I starting over? And like, I can't believe I was this dumb. Like, who does that? Who leaves across the country? And if you have a relationship with a higher power, a God or a spirit, whoever you believe in, I just was like, clearly, I was meant to move to Washington. Clearly. And I'm from Washington. This is my home. My best friends are here. My family's here. Majority of my family's here. I had a battle of like taking my daughter from her dad. He's gone a lot, a lot. And like at first it was like a battle. And if you're in that, like you kind of do have to go through it a little bit. I don't think you have to be brutal to yourself, but I think you kind of have to sit in that misery of victimhood and how did I get here? What's that dynamic with myself? And to then go into like what I hope today is about. How do you have a relationship with yourself after all this? And by the way, I'm using my divorce and my engagement breaking up and substance and all those things in the background. And I hope you just fill in whatever you connect with and like fill in whatever that last piece is. If it's not divorce, maybe it's losing a child. If it's not losing a child, maybe it's losing a partner, a spouse, and whatever hardship you go through, like even death. Like I've lost some very, very important people in my life. Gosh, that hit me. I'm thinking of one of my best friends and my cousins. And the first part is when you deal with grief, just like I am, like actively, you can see the tears in my eyes. You go into the, oh God, I guess it is kind of like the victim and anger and frustration. Like, how could I not see? How could they do this? Or what did I do? I'm being mean to myself. How did I not save them? Or like, did I fuck up? How did I lose this person, not know they were struggling? Could I have done something better, differently? How could they be so selfish? Like going back and forth and wish I could have done something different. Do you see the parallels of like death and losing someone and then divorce and relationships ending? And by the way, not all of them are the same, but I do think the connection is grief and the grief work that comes behind it. and trying to make sense or make math that doesn't math, And that's pretty powerful when you go through, let's call it the 5 steps, right? And you go through anger, denial, all the things. I don't have them in front of me. I wish I did. I would feel like I would be more smart if I had it in front of me. But so many ways of trying to have everything make sense. And I've done months, if not years, of therapy and different versions for each type of my situations. And what I can sit with today, I actually had therapy this morning, this early afternoon. And what I can sit with today is where was I culpable? Where can I get my voice back? And what happened with me to be in these positions without being mean to myself, without being mad at myself? To be kind and kind of lean into the question, right? And really, right after therapy, I saw that reel I was talking about. What kind of relationship do you have with yourself? Where did I miss? And again, without being mean to myself. Because trust me, if you're listening, I've been mean to myself. I'm like, what the F was I thinking? Why didn't I leave? Or why didn't he end this? Or all these things over the years. And I think I'm ready to evolve from it. Almost like acceptance. I'm going to first start with my marriage. I loved my husband, and I really believed, especially as a couples therapist and recovery relationship work that I do, that it was salvageable, that it was definitely workable. And honestly, today, it was never a lack of love. There was so much love in that marriage. What did I not see in myself to accept that behavior? Because it wasn't like he was going to therapy, fixing himself. It was, I accepted it, he was sorry, and then life kind of moved on, or I had to fix whatever issue. And I kind of learned now as I'm on the other side is wow, I have a really negative relationship with love. For whatever reason, that happened to me. I was taught, or I don't think it's taught. I don't think this is my parents or a teacher or anything. I was used to love being conditional. I think we all are, or I had a mother that battled addiction, left our family and had a new family. And I didn't want to be abandoned. I didn't want to abandon my ex-husband. I wanted to rescue him. And then there's that. Okay. I'm no longer going to rescue anyone in relationship. Not in a relationship with me. Okay. I learned that lesson pretty hard in my marriage. Now I applied it into my second serious relationship, which was with my ex-fiance. I chose to move to Washington. I did. I chose to move to Washington. I could have waited longer. I could have given it more time. And I also, on the flip side, I made the decisions with the information I had. That's not mean to myself. I fell in love, and we lived across the country from each other, Washington, North Carolina. How much further can you get? Not much further. And we wanted our families together. He had a daughter, I had a daughter, and they're similar age. This made sense. And my family's here. His family's here. Renting felt crazy because of how expensive it is here, and I didn't want to have to move again. Joke's on me, I'm moving again. But what do I want to look at myself now? And by the way, when I left that relationship, I was not the same person in that first marriage. I did not wait and see forever. I gave an opportunity, and when he didn't do the work with it, I ended the relationship. I'm so proud of myself for that. Younger me wouldn't have been able to do that. And not that she couldn't, but I wouldn't. I would just think, well, I'm going to keep trying. I can rescue him. I can't rescue him from himself. I can rescue me from myself. I know I'm a great mom and that I prioritize my daughter above almost anything. And I've, I think I do that because I wish that was what happened to me, you know? And I think that's common for people that go through what I've gone through as a child. Like, I wish I was just picked and prioritized above everything. And I wasn't. And that was like my vow to my daughter when she was in my tummy, and why I left my marriage and why I ended my relationship with my fiance that I adored, was that she was too important. And I love that I can say about myself that I make hard decisions to be the best version of myself for my daughter. And for whatever reason, I had this idea I needed to rescue people. My relationship with myself and what I'm looking at right now, for whatever reason, I wanted to rescue or hope that people will change or show them at sacrifice of myself. And that's something I'm working on with myself right now. I'm no longer going to be the victim. It sucks that the situations are what it is. It sucks how my relationship with my ex-husband ended. It's unfortunate how the situation's ending with my ex-fiance and our house and everything that's with it. I don't think it's fair. I think I got screwed over, but at the same time, I'm culpable. I moved across the country and I knew there were some things. I'd talk to him, I'd explain it to him, and I ended it as soon as I knew it wasn't going to change. And that's the difference between that relationship and my marriage. Sorry, I've only been married once. I keep saying my first marriage like I've been married multiple times. Only once. So now that I know I have this like rescuer mentality and want to feel loved and secured in a relationship, I have to feel those things with myself first. And I feel like I'm getting there. And I hope you are too. I hope this message is like relating to you. Is like, so many things can be true. My therapist has said something about like each paradox can be the same true. I can be the person that has been hurt and betrayed by people she loved and trust, and that's very true. And that's where that victim mentality like kind of falls into for myself. And then I can also be the person that is open to love and acknowledging where I struggled and to fix where I was culpable in it. And it's not okay, or I'm not validating anything that's ever happened to me, but I'm gonna learn from it. If there's anything I know about myself, is that I'm a student, and I'm a student of learning. And when I learn something about myself, is I try to get better about it. Hence why I started this podcast. I never thought I could have gone through all these life experiences for no reason. I keep doing that, like no reason, and then not be able to help other people go through hard things. I love being a therapist and coach. Like I love it. It's like the best work. I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And for so long, I didn't want to tell anyone about the bad things that's happened, whether they would judge those individuals or it wasn't the nice thing to do is talk. And I'm coming to realize is when I share my story, it kind of has nothing to do with them themselves. It has everything to do with my story. I don't want to be the victim. I don't want that idea in my head that I have to be saved or rescued or whatever that looks like later down the road. And I also don't want to be mean to myself as I navigate learning where I was culpable and why I got in these relationships, you know? And I hope you're doing the same as we're going along. Maybe you're making some notes and being like, okay, Court's right. Like, I really don't like always feeling like people just screw me over, or that I can't get past this grief of loss. Like, I lost this person. What does that mean for my world? Like, by the way, I'm not saying skip steps, go to therapy, book with me. I promise we can make some magic happen. We can work through it. I'm with you. The other part is, okay, instead of going so far right and going like, well, I can't believe I did that to myself, or I can't believe I couldn't save them, or I can't believe whatever that is, and being mean to yourself, looking in the mirror and being like, you're a fucking idiot. I've done that to myself. I'm like, How did we get here? How are we buying moving boxes again? Literally yesterday, I was like, how? And then again, I'm diligent with my work. I go to therapy. I did the thing today. Um, I can't move on being the victim and being mean to myself. What I can do is acknowledge crappy things happen in my life and have happened to me. And I did the best I could with what information I had. For example, you can't save anyone that you don't know that's struggling. That's really very important to hear. You cannot save anyone that you are not aware that is struggling. Even with my ex, like, I didn't know there were certain things he struggled with until after it kind of blew up. And I'm like, well, if you would have just communicated that, but I can't be like, hey, now I can work through this. I'm like, no, I made the decisions with the information I had. He didn't communicate things with me. And maybe it could have turned out differently. I don't know. I'm assuming not. But with grief and losing people, I lost one of my best friends, Lacey, and like having remorse. I wish I was around more. I wish, like, I was being myself that I wasn't the best friend I could be. And that still makes me sad. But I'm not crying because I wasn't that person or I'm mad at myself. I'm sad because I miss my friend. I miss my cousins that I've lost. And I do miss my ex-husband at times because it wasn't all bad. I miss my ex-fiance sometimes because there was a lot of love there. That does not mean any of that goes away. Sometimes I think people are surprised that even when I just said I'm sometimes miss my ex-husband, people are shocked by that. And I'm like, well, yeah, I was married 11 years together, 13 plus, and we have a daughter together. I also miss having a partner, co-parent, and everything, and that's become only difficult over the years. I miss the good stuff. And same with my ex. I wish I was in this situation with this house and everything, and it would be different, but it is what it is. And now I'm like, hey, I made mistakes too. Maybe I should have waited. Maybe I should have moved. I still feel like there's someone that's like spoke through. Like, I feel like sometimes like angels or God, whatever you believe in, fill in the dot again. No, don't take it like too religiously or whatever that means to you. They're like, sometimes angels speak through people. And sometimes God, fill in the dot with whatever you believe in, Buddha, whoever, will use people as vehicles to get you where he needs you to go. For whatever reason, I'm supposed to be in Washington. And I love that I'm near my nieces and my sisters, my brothers and my parents and some of my grandparents and really good friends. And I try not to be hard on myself for leaving the life I had in North Carolina. And that's just where I'm at. It's okay that things didn't work out. I learned some really hard lessons this year. But I also learned what my relationship is with myself. I now stand up for what I believe in. I will leave if I tell you I will leave. And I don't let people push my boundaries. I worked really hard with boundaries work, and maybe you're just being introduced to the idea of boundaries. I don't let people walk all over me. And if I'm sad, I get to be sad. If I'm mad, I get to be mad. And I have to process and go through the grief cycles to get to the other side. Is what's your relationship with yourself? I want love again. I want a peaceful home. I want my daughter happy. I only want to continue to use my story and talk about all the things with y'all and help others out there, because I have a love for healing and a love for people that's genuine and real. I'm here to do that, and I trust that. So if you're out there wondering, what is this all about? What do we talk about with Courtney? Like, what is coaching? What is therapy? I hope today is kind of an insightful kind of thing. I kind of get like the devil and the angel thing today, like being victim and experiencing things that way, and also accountability for yourself, but also what you do with both. That is what therapy is. That's why I go to therapy as a therapist. That is why I coach and work with people, is processing both and what can we do. And I hope this really aligns and sits with you, or even resonates to the point where you maybe journal and ask yourself, like, what kind of relationship do I have with myself? I'm still struggling, grieving a couple things. What's holding me there? Usually it's shame, sadness, anger, and maybe you've been sitting alone in it long enough. And maybe it's me reaching out to you or you listening to this and it's saying, like, okay, what do I want to do about it now? Am I ready? And I think you are. I think you're ready. Because if you're listening, you stayed through, we're at 30 minutes plus, I think you are. So if you are alone out there, or if you need help, you have, like, reach out. My websites are all there. I'd be happy to work with you. And if not, I can happily recommend someone to you if I'm not the right fit. We are here to heal together, and we are here to talk about it together. And I'm so proud of you for staying with me and listening. And I hope everything that I've gone through is somehow going to be helpful to someone else. Thank you for your support and love. I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk soon.